If you follow this channel, you'll be aware that I like to improve holistically as an athlete. I'm actually being serious, even though it kind of looks like I'm being ironic right now, but serious talk. Because if you're just focusing on the physical side of it, yes, you will be getting quicker. However, why not focus a little bit more on the mental side as well? Train your body, why not train your mind? I split this video into two. The first one, if you haven't watched that, go and watch it. It was more based around my actual physical training plan, so improving the physicality of this individual over the course of about 14 weeks. I'm speaking how I plan to improve my mental toughness and generally improve overall holistically, buzzword, as a hybrid athlete. In this case, I'm actually focusing more on running. So on this video, I'm going to be explaining how I plan to improve my mental toughness, but also explain a little bit more about perhaps the spirituality as well as the mindset and mental toughness. So this is part two, mate. Let's jump into the video. Some of the things that I like to do to improve my mental toughness: I like to run without headphones. I actually made a video where I go into detail exactly why I don't run with headphones. I do in between training camps, but when I'm getting close to a race, I specifically don't do it because I'm not relying on any extrinsic sources of motivation. You get used to motivating yourself or trying to stay present and relying on intrinsic sources of motivation coming from within young Padawan. And as well, a few other things: the BPM of music can disrupt your pace that you're trying to run at. But the main thing in this video, I'm speaking about mental toughness. So again, trying to reduce your screen time, because that instant gratification, that dopamine hit, something that might make you laugh on Instagram, you'll be searching for something to make you laugh again. And then actually over the course of a day, if you're spending 2 hours scrolling for Instagram or TikTok, what the kids do now, it reduces the strength of your mind when you're running because you're focusing more, or let's say your body or your mind is more accustomed to getting this instant gratification. I think it's important to try and stay disciplined and get your mind used to, as best as you can, having to work for stuff. It helps put you in this present moment in time, so when you're running, you're not looking or hoping for a way out. You're there, you're present, you're enjoying it. And ultimately, if you're enjoying it, if you're a happy runner, if you're happy in any sport you're doing, that is the most dangerous person, because that person's having fun, they're not getting any negative energy. And actually, I think when the mind and body is working together, this is when some incredible sporting achievements happen. Discipline is hugely important. You can motivate yourself all the time, but motivation will always come and go. You can never stay motivated. However, the one factor that you can control is the discipline. If you're not feeling motivated, you train yourself that even if you don't feel like doing it, you go out and do it anyway. And it's much easier said than done. So the way I like to do this is something I like to trick my mind with, because perhaps when I was bodybuilding or doing more like weight type of training, I couldn't motivate myself to still go to the gym after I'd been on a beach holiday, for example, because that was my motivation. And I got back, I had no motivation, I'd stop lifting weights. Now I'm focusing more on improving my actual functionality as an athlete. So how do I trick my mind into constantly give me some sort of motivation, perhaps when I'm not feeling that motivated? One of those ways is I focus on how it makes me feel. So I remind myself exactly how I feel after I do a workout. So even if I'm going out socializing, if I've done a workout, I know I'm going to be in much better form than I would be if I just kind of was sitting in bed all day feeling a bit groggy and then I went out and met my mates. That confidence that you can build up, and the reason why that builds up confidence is because you're increasing your self-respect. You know you've done something hard. And let me tell you something, if you do something hard, especially when you know yourself that you almost didn't do it on that day, you almost didn't bother going out on a run, you almost didn't bother doing some weights or exercise, whatever it is you did, and you force yourself to go out and do it anyway, that feeling after is the best feeling you'll get. You know, those days where you go out and perhaps you were motivated to do it, you won't feel as good on those days than you would if you know that you almost didn't do it. So that's what I try and remind myself before I run, before I lift weights. If I'm perhaps not feeling it on that day, I want to chill out, go home, or whatever it is that I want to do, my mind's tricking me and saying, oh, you can just give yourself a day off today. I remind myself that those other people that will quit, I won't quit, and that gives me confidence when I come to race or compete in whatever it is I'm trying to do, knowing that you're almost outworking everyone else. So you get the confidence from that, but also you get the confidence in your day-to-day life by again doing something that you know is difficult, so you're increasing your self-respect. A few other points are attitude and accountability. If you get injured, just ask yourself, okay, I might be injured now, try and turn your focus in, how am I going to get back fit again the best I can. So try not to feel sorry for yourself, you know, hold yourself accountable. Okay, I'm injured, but change your mindset in, okay, I'm injured, but what can I do now to get back to fitness? So make that your purpose, and now don't think, oh God, everyone else is running, I'm getting injured, feeling sorry for yourself. That type of weak mentality is not going to get you anywhere in life. Generally, feeling sorry for yourself is just a poor state of mind. It's something that I've been in a cycle myself. Remember when the Paris Marathon got cancelled one time before COVID, and I was feeling sorry for myself, going, oh, I've trained so hard and now it's just cancelled. But then I thought, actually mate, it gives you an extra year to train for it, and that extra year benefit me in the long run, because I turn my attention and okay, you've got a year to train for this, let's smash it for a year, and the next year you'll be much better. The same thing when I get injured, instead of feeling sorry for myself, like, oh, I just want to run or I just want to train, I completely turn my purpose to how can I get fit again. So focusing on recovery, what foods, what supplements I can have that can perhaps speeden my recovery to getting back fit again, and basically not having a victim's mentality. Again, holding yourself accountable for these things. All these things will improve your mental toughness. And the last thing, something that perhaps I've neglected a bit recently purely through time, whenever anyone says I don't have time to do something, that basically means that that isn't your priority, and that's meditation. And I think meditation is really important for general day-to-day life. You don't need me to go over that stuff, you all have heard this time and time again. However, for sports it's incredibly important, and especially for running, because when you've got to concentrate for, say, 2 up to 4 or 5 hours, potentially 6 hours potentially if you're running a marathon or endurance races, when you've got to concentrate for that long, you need to train your mind, or it would benefit you to train your mind and how to feel present. You get these waves of emotion through the run where at sometimes your confidence be really high, but if you allow yourself to get that high, then when your confidence gets low, then you kind of ride this emotional roller coaster a little bit. But if you can try and stay stoic, basically only focus on what you can control during anything that you do physically, it will help remove your ego from it, and therefore you won't have these radical confidence boosters. Yes, it might be really good and you can ride that confidence wave at the end of a race because you know perhaps you're not going to crash again, but if you're in the start of the race and you're feeling confident, try to not actually allow yourself to feel that confident, because you will inevitably get that ditch in confidence as you go for the run. That's just how it happens. So try to not hang too much of your emphasis on how you're feeling. Try and stay stoic, remove yourself from the actual task that it is you're doing, remove your ego from it, and this is a way of which you can try and stay composed throughout the whole race. And meditating, practicing mindfulness is a way that actually will hugely benefit your running or your mental toughness generally. So I spoke about mental toughness, I'm just going to go over spirituality and what that is. I did say motivation isn't the most important thing, discipline is definitely the most important thing, because again, you won't be able to stay motivated, but spirituality is basically your overall why it is you're doing it. Perhaps if you're doing it for a charity, which is what I did in my first marathon, I raised money for Alzheimer's Society, and that I found actually gave me a bigger why than myself. So the days where I wouldn't have wanted to run, I remind myself of why it was I was doing it. But try it and think of something that is bigger than you. My granddad passed away fairly recently, and although it was like quite emotional, I'm actually going to use that to my benefit, because I started running essentially raising money for dementia, because my granddad had late onset Alzheimer's or late onset dementia, and that was what my motivation was, to raise money for Alzheimer's Society. Those days where I don't want to go out running, I think of my granddad and almost like think, I'm actually going to run for you. You know, over the course of 16 weeks, if you can think of something beforehand where you go, you know what, that's going to help me motivate me, get out and run on those days, or get out and work out on those days where perhaps you don't want to do it. If you're looking for something bigger than you, your spirituality, essentially what that will mean is what it is you're doing, or how what you're doing will benefit other people. Something that isn't tangible, you can't physically measure how it's benefiting other people, but perhaps like making this video, for example, I could be like, I could be inspiring someone. Perhaps I'm not inspiring anyone, but that's the kind of mindset, another way of which I can motivate myself, something bigger than you, because sometimes like you might know yourself, you don't want to work out because you don't really care that much, but if you can trick yourself or make it bigger than you, it's actually going to help motivate you, get you out that door more often than it won't. That's the end of this 2-part series video. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, like it, comment, tell me, Jim, I've enjoyed it, or any questions, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Okay, thanks, bye, see you later.
Tryna play me, they ain't no better. Perp on me, you can call me Chris Webber. Brand new whip with the brand new leather, and now I make plays so they all look